Okay, so once you have talked about the revenues, about how do you generate revenues in the economic part, you have to talk also about profit. I mean, everything comes up to profit. You can be generating 100 million revenues, but if your costs are 120 million, you will be losing 20 million euros a year. So you have to show the revenue streams you mentioned before that will allow you to generate profit margins. You will have to justify that revenue streams are profitable, that generate profit margins, and that profit margins can be bigger, that can grow over time, that can at the beginning might be a little bit low, but they have a huge growth potential, which is also something really powerful at the beginning. So you have to think that your idea has to be profitable. You cannot just build a startup and generate revenues and think, oh yeah, we are generating many revenues and we are having many money entering the company, but how do you generate that money doesn't imply that you are profiting from this, because you have to manage and control cost, because you will have to understand how these revenues can be used to grow and to generate profits at the same time, if it's possible, because at some point maybe you sacrifice profit in exchange of growth. So it's important to show that your company at some point will be profitable and that profit will be able to grow over time, because it's the main and the ultimate goal of any startup, but also of anyone interested in investing in your firm. Then I like to put this picture of four of our team of 5 people in Miivo in the digital summit this last year in Valencia, which was really nice. And I really like this picture because we had a really good day between us. It was one of the first times that we met all 4, because as I don't know if I mentioned that my startup history has been really different or really peculiar in some senses, because we are international business students. We were studying abroad and the company was created abroad. So we were working, and well, I'm working from Brussels. Alex and Angel, that are the 2 guys on the right, are working from the guy next to me is working from Valencia. So you can imagine how special it was to meet and to join all together again. And I really liked this picture to express the quote that I took from one of my mentors in one of the entrepreneurship programs that we participated, that he told me that people like ideas, but really fall in love with who are developing them. It's something that I've been trying to detach throughout all my explanations in the business plan and in the pitch description, but especially in the team slide. You have to make them fall in love with who is going to build the idea, who is going to be behind the idea and sustaining that idea, and taking the floor when the things go right, receiving prizes, receiving money, raising funds. Okay, it's important to do this, but who is going to be there when the things go wrong, when deals are not closed, when revenues are not generated as soon as you thought? So it's important to build a team and detach that strong team in your team slide, because that will show the people interested in your pitch that you have the human resources to develop that idea, that at the beginning are the most powerful and the most valuable resources you will have. You won't have many money, you won't have many computers, many softwares, many anything. You will have your team and your hard work and your sacrifice and your motivation. So if that can be detached and that can be shown in your slide, that will connect with the people and that will connect with the target audience you are trying to address. So it's really important you communicate that in your team slide. I think that it's important to describe how your team has the key skills and knowledge to effectively develop your amazing idea. We commented this yesterday on the team section of the business plan. You not only have to describe that you are passionate, that you are interested in your idea, that you know about your idea, but that you complement each other personally and professionally to somehow be the perfect team, the dream team that can, there is no better people to develop that idea in that specific time. With this, I mean that it's important that inside your team you have different profiles, different professional profiles. As for example, it's important to have people from marketing, people from finance, people from technology, people from design, people from legal aspects, people from different parts in different startups. For example, if you are working on a technological part, the informatic part is and the developer part is key. But if you are working on a biological project or a biotech project, something that has a deep knowledge on biotechnology is important. So it doesn't matter that much which profiles are there, but the profiles must justify that complementarity that will build and that will coordinate the team to build a good idea. Because if you have, and it was something that was criticized for us at the beginning, because at the beginning we were just 5 international business friends building a technological idea. So people asked us, okay, the description is really good, the pitch is really nice, your presentation is really good, you know how to present, how to convince, but who is behind the tech product that you are selling us or that you are presenting? So it was something that we had to work on, and that we have to come on board our CTO or current CTO, who is developing the application himself, and it's all inside the team. This is also something that I wanted to comment. Sometimes when you are a solo entrepreneur or you are 2-3 entrepreneurs building a project, it's nearly impossible that with that few people you can complete all the profiles that you need at the beginning at your startup. And that has made and has provoked an opportunity for external companies to take profit from that. I don't say that it's something wrong or that it's something that shouldn't be done, but I suggest you to carefully decide which parts of your idea to hire externally and which parts of your idea try to have on board and try to have internally. I put the example of my case in when we were the 5 international business friends. We had the discussion in which 2 of us, me and a colleague, discussed that it was important to have a CTO inside the team, even though that meant sacrificing equity, sacrificing the part of the company, but having him inside the team and inside the project, rather than paying an external services to build our application. Why did I have this position, and why we chose finally to pursue this position? If your project is based on something, in this case technology, in this case app development, how do you pretend to be innovative? How can you pretend to be so disruptive in the market if your product is being built by a company that is building thousands of products to other companies? For example, this is my particular case. I think it's really important to understand which are the main competitive advantage sources, and one of them in this case and in the technological products is to have that possibility to innovate, to differentiate, to build new features, to build new things in your application. And if you subcontract and if you externalize that to a firm that is providing the same product, or not the same product, but is generalizing the products to 1,000 other firms, it's really complicated that your product is different itself, or it's highly different to others, or have different functionalities. So I suggest that for that point of view, don't be afraid of sacrificing equity, because it's something that afraid and most of solo entrepreneurs and 2 or 3 team members, entrepreneurs, fear is to, I don't want to lose percentage of equity, I don't want to lose the property of my idea, my beloved idea. Something I've learned throughout all this time is that ideas are cool, are nice, but ideas are worth nothing if they don't get into reality. And to get them into reality, you need to make sacrifices, to make efforts. And if you are trying to defend your property and to defend your part of the equity, worsening the possibilities of growth, penalizing the possibilities of success of your idea, you are not thinking as a team member, you are thinking just as an individual. So it's really important that when you come up to decide when to onboard, who to onboard, what to externalize, what not to externalize, you consider how important it is, regardless if you have to sacrifice equity or if you have to sacrifice other resources, but thinking always in what is better for the team. I, for example, explained that some of my colleagues at that time were really worried that we were sacrificing so much equity because we were giving him the same part that we had. At that point, it was 16%, something like that. They were really worried. They were even angry that I consider sharing that much percentage with him. And I told them, okay, you want to subcontract with a money we don't have, with a company we don't know, and with innovation and differentiation possibilities we will hardly have. Instead of sacrificing a percentage of nothing because we have nothing yet, if we share that equity, if we share that portion with him, he will be working and he will be earning what he can produce and what we can produce. I prefer to have 10% of a good idea and a good project and a really nice changing life project than to have a 50% of a project that is subcontracted, that works only caring about the property and the equity, and that in the end ends up dying because that makes no sense. So I think it's really important to prioritize and to understand that this aspect is key at the beginning of any team management at the startup, and that you shouldn't be too worried to sacrifice equity in exchange of valuable human resources at the beginning, because it's what I said, it's better to have less equity of a good idea, a good team, and a good project than 100% of equity of something that you are not going to be able to own or to build yourself. So it's important to understand this. Okay, go ahead and let's see.
My name is Josh Light, and I'm the CEO of CupAd, and we believe that we have the most effective form of advertising available in the market today. Our advertisements are exposed to customers for 2,220 seconds on average. Now, what kind of advertising has that kind of exposure time? Ladies and gentlemen, we advertise on coffee cups. That's right, we put your brand in their hand. So how does coffee cup advertising work? Well, we got an advertiser. They pay us money. We produce paper coffee cups with their advertisement or brand on it. Then we give these coffee cups to coffee stands for free. Now, why does someone want to advertise on a coffee cup? Because it takes an individual 37 minutes to drink a cup of coffee on average. That person's going to have to look at the cup, drink, look at the cup, drink 20 times before it's fully consumed. And that person's going to move around like a mobile billboard, exposing that brand to at least 6 different individuals before that cup is drank. What's in it for CupAd? We make 13 cents of profit on every single cup that we distribute. And what's in it for the coffee stands? Well, when most people think about coffee stands, they think about Starbucks. But what about the 25,000 coffee stands in this nation that have plain white cups like this? They don't have the economies to scale to put their own brand on the cup. So we give them free cups. They save $15,000 a year by not buying cups. They like these savings so much, ladies and gentlemen, that approximately 80% of the stands that we've contacted have signed exclusivity agreements to distribute our cups. And what kind of momentum have we started for this company? The last month alone, we got 58 coffee stands in California to sign exclusivity agreements with us to distribute our cups. If we continue to get 58 coffee stands every single month, for the next 12 months, we will have 700 coffee stands at the end of the year. With 700 coffee stands, we can move 8 million cups a month. And at 13-cent profit, 8 million cups a month, we're making over $1 million of profit every single month. And we've already started this, ladies and gentlemen. In fact, our first customer, Overstock.com, will see their cups hit the California market in 21 days. Thank you very much.
Okay, so from this video, I wanted to make emphasis on several points that I mentioned on the presentation. I'm going to come back and present the presentation because I think that this presentation is a huge example of some things I described about it. Especially, I really liked. I'm going to start talking about the things I liked from it, and then I will say the things that I didn't like that much. But as you could see, this guy really shortly explained in detail how they are going to make huge profit generation and detailing every aspect and every part of the process. How are they going to use the coffee cups? How are they going to provide value for the firms that were contracting their marketing services? How are they providing value and saving costs to the coffee shops that were $18,000 per year because they didn't have to buy that coffee cup. So it was really, really a good explanation and a good pitch in terms of how to define and how to explain and how to show your economic data and your economic information in really quick way. It was, I consider, amazing because I didn't know about this idea before I saw it. And in 1 minute, 20 seconds, I think that the video lasts, this guy was able to convince me to at least generate me the interest to understand better the idea. And if it was for me to decide if I should meet him or if I should have a deeper meeting with him or a closer meeting with him, I would say completely yes, just because what he drives and what he showed in the presentation was really, really interesting, was really impactful, and was something that was worth a second shot at least. So I think that this kind of presentation, it's really nice in terms of describing important economic data where it's also mentioned the value proposition and the idea description of what they are doing. But I wanted also to put this example because I consider that there are some parts that I would have liked to see different. One of the things is that due to the short time, and I cannot blame him for this, the speed of his message is way too quick, and at some points there are some words that you cannot understand. In fact, the video was a little bit lagged at the end, and if you were not following the gest and the non-verbal communication that he has, it was something difficult to understand all the information he was sharing. This is a problem of 1 minute pitches that you have so limited time that you have to try to save as much as you can, and one option is to speak that quickly. But if you don't have that time limitation, or at least not that 1 minute limitation, I truly suggest that your tone is not that quick, it's not that accelerated, because it can detach two things. It's not the case, but I wanted to mention because I think it's something that happens and that at some point happened to me. It makes you look like you want to finish as fast as possible your pitch, which is not a sign of trust and it's not a sign of self-confidence, and therefore it's not a good point. It can make the audience lose because they don't even understand your words, or because they don't process all the information with the right times. They can miss key information that you want people to get to know and you want people to remember. And it describes a situation in which the rhythm is so frenetic that the people don't have the time and the ability to engage with your feelings and to connect that feelings part that I was mentioning before, because I think that the velocity of this video doesn't allow me to connect with the emotions. It connects me with the data, it connects me with the impressing numbers and impressing way of describing the feasibility and the economic profit that they can generate, but they don't convince me, or they don't attract me because of the emotion, because they don't allow me, I don't have time to fall in love with the idea or with him itself. So it's important that the tone and the communication and the message you describe provides you your main goals when you are talking. It's really important to find this part of your message, of your communication tone. And I suggest that if it's not the case that you have so limited time, you don't try to rush and you don't try to speak quicker than you should, because there are some key negative points that can be that can arise if you speak so quickly. So that was my two-side analysis of this video, and I think that it's a nice time to make the last coffee break.
Okay. Do you want to take a few questions? We have questions in the slide, or do you prefer to do them after?
No, yeah. If we have questions, of course.
Maybe Jip can show them on the screen. There is one that is not a question. It says it's a comment, and it's a very nice one to show you.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, there are three. I'm going to start for the first one. Not a question, but a comment. Admirable that your team made such an impressive business while still being students. Silicon Valley material. Thank you very much for the comment. It's really something that I appreciate, but it's something that it has come like this. I think that opportunities and projects and startups and everything general in life comes when at a time and you have to decide if you choose it or not, because at some point at the beginning, we questioned ourselves a lot on if we should do this or not, because we were too young, because we were still studying, because we are now currently working, we are doing our ending degree internship. But I think that the passion and the motivation, and I think that this is when sacrifice comes in. If you don't have the motivation, if you don't have the passion for what you are doing, and you don't truly believe in your idea, and you are only there for economic profit, that won't take long. As soon as you have to sacrifice and as you have to make huge efforts to continue in the project. So I, from this comment that I really like, and it's something that is even something difficult for me to accept these compliments. But if from this comment I can give you some advice, is that when you get on a project, on a startup or anything concerning this type of projects, do it with passion, do it with motivation, do it with the vision of doing something that is meaningful for you. I accept that generating money can be meaningful, but it has to be truly meaningful for you. It has to be your key motivation, because there will be times, because of the circumstances, because of your situation, because for example, in my case, my lack of time situation. So when these problems come, it won't be the money, it won't be the recognition, it won't be the fame or whatever might come from being a startup founder. It will be the motivation and your team and your compromise with your team and your compromise with the idea that will come up and that will make you go ahead and continue building your idea, because you truly believe that your idea is good or is meaningful for you. So I think it's something that I suggest that people consider and are really honest with them, because when things get worse or get bad, it's these kind of things that the ones that take you out of it and make you stronger, or if it's not the case, that will take you down and it will be complicated to manage emotionally, specifically. Then for the second question, how did you find your first clients? Did word of mouth help you a lot? Yes, definitely. Word of mouth, it's really important at the beginning, because, well, in fact, word of mouth is another way of describing the 3 Fs that I mentioned yesterday, the friends, fools, and family, that are these 3 typical concepts that are commented on startups. The first people that will buy or that will consume or that will be interested in your product will be people around you, and these people will be the first early adopters of your idea, of your project, that will make, if your product and if your service it's good enough, it will make go bigger and bigger and get to a broader public, and people will share it and they will understand and they will start using it or start consuming it. So it's really important to do so. But I think that for any startup founder or any person considering building a startup, shyness is not your best ally. I have to say that I've never been a shy person, but the last year and a half, I don't know shyness, and I'm not looking to know her anymore, because there will be times that you will have to do some crazy things, like, for example, going to a metro stop and stop talking people and presenting your idea, or doing some things to catch their attention and to make your idea more known in people you don't know, because at some point you cannot sustain your business with only friends, families, and fools. So it's important that you don't have don't feel ashamed to do anything that these people think that will be crazy, these people think I'm ridiculous. I think that what other people think shouldn't matter that much. You should think that if you feel like doing something that will catch someone's attention and that will drive to have your first clients, that are the most difficult ones, I can assure you that for sure, and that will drive you to start generating traction in your business, go ahead and do whatever you feel like it's going to be better for the project. Don't care that much about how people think. And even if it's something ridiculous, or even if it's something that you feel a little bit ashamed of afterwards, I can say you that I have had the most or the funniest moments during my project are the ones commenting ridiculous things we have done to promote the idea. I have stickers, WhatsApp stickers with my face saying, you know, Miivo, because when we went to a party, I started sharing business cards because there was my target audience. I was in a party, I was having fun, and I made a joke of I'm going to share these cards with people I don't know. My friends told me that I wasn't capable of, and I started sharing the cards. And afterwards, the day after, we were all laughing about it, and we increased 15, 20 followers on Instagram, 20 people that maybe know my idea that didn't know before. So I can say that the best experience and the best moments of building a startup are the ones that are a little bit crazy and that are a little bit bold to try and do things that people normally get as ridiculous or as that can be ashamed of. So I suggest you that you jump into the pool, as it's said in Spanish, and try to find your first customers the best way you think it's going to be. And the third one, and we go all to have another break. Can you share something about your funding? Where did you fund investors, and did it take very long? I have to say that Miivo is very peculiar and very different from many projects in general, but in some aspects, especially the fact that we are all abroad, or some of the founders are abroad, is one of them. The second most curious fact about Miivo is that we haven't had any funding, we haven't raised any funds in a conventional way or in an investor-like way. We haven't had any investors. We still have all the property of the capital, and I'm not contradicting myself. I'm not saying that I don't want to come up with investors when the time comes. But we were lucky that we participated in the fourth Smart Mobility Challenge organized in the University of Valencia, my home university. We participated there, and we built our idea in that moment. Miivo was born there with another name even, so imagine how things change. And we won the challenge, and the challenge had an economic price of 12,500 euros. That then was less because of tax in Spain. So we have been funding our activity with that money and other prizes, European prizes, national prizes that we have been winning throughout this first year of life of Miivo. And one of the facts that I think that has been key to don't have the need or the urgent need to look for finance or for funds at the beginning in an investor-like fund is that we engage our CTO like a team member. We gave him a percentage of the equity. So the most expensive resource in our company would be this developer human resources, because nowadays, due to the digital boom, everything is so expensive in the digital world. To find talent in the digital world, developers, front end, back end, whatever type of developers you're looking for, they earn a lot because they are really, really valued in the market. So it was complicated, and we decided to get him on board because we thought that it would be the most efficient way, and we would avoid wasting, or not wasting, but investing too much money on subcontracting other services. So we have been able to manage the low funding that we have due to this reason mainly. So if anyone has any question or comment for my answers for these three questions and comments, feel free, or if not, we can go ahead and have a break and then come for the last part of the session. And let's go with the last part, which is the pitch types. To end, I wanted to leave this part for the end, because I think that it's important to see all the elements of a pitch before, and then specify the different types of pitches that exist and which are the difference between them, and how I think that the approaches should be different concerning the audience that you are targeting and the situation you are in each of them. The first one is the investor pitch, that I guess is the one that most of people know and that are interested in, because of course it's important to know how to pitch in front of investors so you can raise money and you can make your project and your startup grow. The second type, and I'm doing a little bit of promotion, is the challenge pitch. That if this is the photo that we took for the Smart Mobility Challenge award ceremony, and the other one is another also known pitch, which Jean-Pierre mentioned, which is the elevator pitch. That is basically a short version and really one-shot approach in the pitch system. So the first one, in the investor pitch, I think that this is the one that can cause the most expectation for most of you. In this case, the scenario of an investor pitch is considerably different of a general pitch, at least I have been explaining before, because of course it's focused on funding. And what does focus on funding mean? It's not only that you are looking for funds, but you have to justify why you are looking for funds, which exact funds you are looking for, and why and how do you pretend to invest that funds, and in which parts of your enterprise. This is something really particular or really specific for the investor pitch, because normally you wouldn't say how much you want to raise, because that wouldn't be the goal. But in the investor pitch, is something really important that is impossible to avoid. So you have to decide which is the amount of money that you want to get. How much do you value your company to know which percentage does this quantity you are looking for represent in the total amount or in the total ownership of the firm. For example, if you are asking for 100,000 euros and you say your company is worth 500,000, then you are looking for, you will have to sell, in that sense, a 20% of your firm. Whereas if you value your company 1 million euros, you will have to sell only a 10%. So the valuation process, which is a deeper concept that it's difficult to explain in this session, but feel free to ask any question about it. You will have to value your firm, to understand and to investigate, to value your firm, to explain how much you are asking for these investors, and which percentage in the decision power in the end this percentage will represent of the total ownership of your startup. I mentioned it before, and I've already told about this, but of course investors are looking first, second, thirdly, fourthly, and fifthly for economic profit. They are not going to look for the amazing idea if it's not justifiable that it's going to generate profit, because what they are literally doing is put money in your firm because they think that they can multiply this money by the times you are able to grow as a startup. So what do you have to do? Provide a really detailed and a really impressive data analysis, of course, as always, analysis, not only data, to convince them, to engage them into your project, because they see the profitability they are looking for to make profitable their savings or the investments or whatever reason they are investing in general, not only in your company. So it's important. Then, apart from the importance of the economic data and the economic information that you share in the investor pitch, I said before, and I put it in the team slide, investors are people, are behind each investor that we can see it as a really formal profile, a really serious profile, a really strict profile. Behind that, maybe character that is commonly understood in the startup world. Investors are normal people that the only thing that have from a special is that they invest the money they have in startups, in projects, so they can have profitability from it. So what did I say before about people, that about convincing and about teams? That people like ideas but fall in love with a team that can make that idea reality. So it's really important that specifically to investors, you show the complementarity I mentioned before, the capacity to overcome difficulties that I mentioned before, the capacity to adapt, to react, to work in team, to make hard decisions. These are the things that an investor will be looking for, because they have lots of experience normally in how the business world works, and they know which are the main problems, and you are not tackling the main problems in a general pitch, let's say, because you describe the main parts of your business, but sometimes the main parts of your business are not tackling the main challenges or the main pain points for an investor. That can be how you can manage risk, how you can manage problems, how you can identify team, how can you take hard decisions in pro of the team or of the project benefit. It's that kind of information that is not that easily seen, that you will have to try to highlight in some way to show that your team, that your abilities, that your capabilities are the perfect fit to build that specific idea that you are presenting to them. If you have any question, in this part, I wanted to stop at every pitch type because they are quite different between them. So if anyone has any question regarding investor pitch, feel free to put these questions in a Slido or ask me now, or maybe even unmute yourself and ask me directly, because I will be going to another different type and it won't have that much to see. So if you want to ask now or later if you want. Okay, I guess no one wants to know about investor pitch, so I go ahead and I will explain the challenge pitch. This is the one that I've specialized myself in. I've been participating, and as I told you before, I've been the person in charge of presenting Miivo in all the challenges we have participated in and that we have applied in. Personally, I've really liked the experiences I've had in every challenge I've participated, even though in the ones that we didn't win or in the ones that we didn't have the desired results. I think that from every challenge, from every inscription, from every application, from every acceptance process, you learn something, you improve something, you keep on having different perspectives, different point of views. Each group of judges in each challenge is different. They provide you different insights, different feedback, that in the end, of course, you are looking for funding, that you are looking for recognition. But apart from those two things, the most important part right afterwards is the feedback they are going to provide you to improve and to develop your idea in a better way with a better guidance, even though if the critics are really hard or that the feedback is negative, or mainly negative, there is no such positive feedback. Because the bad points or the bad perspectives of these people that are experts on the sector, that are experts on the field, is going to provide you with the guidance to know what you have to improve in the most immediate future to improve and to start winning challenges and to start building your idea in a more effective way and to be much more successful in every part of the startup. Which are the main or the key elements in a challenge pitch, or what you should include in a challenge pitch? Normally, from my experience, I've seen that most of challenges, normally the ones that are organized by public entities or by universities or by this kind of authorities, they are looking for impact. It doesn't mind if it's sustainability, if it's social impact, if it's economic development in undeveloped countries, wherever. Normally, there are some exceptions, obviously. There is a impact background behind the challenge that aims to become innovative in some sections that are not normally that fostered by nature. For example, you are looking for something that helps reduce CO2, as Miivo, for example. You are looking for startups that help take care of the elderly, which is a current problem nowadays, a societal problem. This type of impacts that normally public authorities finance and promote in this type of challenges. So you have to try to orientate your pitch to that impact and how the impact can be measured from the implementation of your idea of your startup. On the second part, I've been told and retold and told many times that storytelling is key, and I truly believe it. I've learned a lot about storytelling, and that's why I keep on saying it all along the presentation of the pitch, because I think it's really important in this type, especially of pitches, that you can build the story of why you are building that startup. You have to engage people that have worked with you normally, because this program normally have to some formation sessions or have some kind of one-to-one connections with the people. So it's important that your storytelling is different, or storytelling is original, or your storytelling is engaging with the story you're going to say, the idea you're going to try to convince people to learn about, and about the people that is currently developing the idea, just to make that connection with the public, that connection with the audience, that allows you to improve your pitch, improve your communication abilities, but also augment your winning possibilities in the challenge itself. Again, team is hugely important, hugely important, because anyone interested in your idea will be looking at your team, especially when your startup has such an early stage and has so few metrics and economics and other type of data that at a higher stage might be more important. But now they are looking for people, because people will drive to metrics, and they will have to improve, and they will have to show how these people is going to drive to those metrics. So it's important that you define the team in your slide and in your pitch in this type of pitches. And then it's also really an adaptation exercise when you participate in different challenges, because as I said, there are different challenges that approach the challenge in different ways, in a competition way, in a collaboration way. Some challenges value more some aspects, some other challenges value some other aspects. It's something that changes a lot from challenge to challenge, always keeping in mind a common point, just because you cannot present to all the challenges that are going on right now, because there are a lot, and there has been a lot of help in that sense. But there are a lot of challenges that, for example, there are a lot of startup challenges, which if you are in a startup, you can participate. Then there are specific areas, challenges, for example, a European challenge that we participated is the EIT, Miivo Mobility challenge. So there are different challenges that you have to adapt to their way of working, to their requirements, to their application processes, that will make you be able to adapt and to quickly modify your idea, or at least adapt that idea to the challenge. And that's a huge, strong point that you will develop, because you will be able to quickly adapt your idea and to quickly react to any change you might need, which proves that you are able to react to any problem that might arise in the future, to change anything you might need to change for the idea to go better. So it's a really good point on this type of pitches and on this type of challenges. I see that there is a notification in the chat. I don't know if it's a question or...
It's just a friendly reminder that voting is open in Slido and for questions.
Okay, sorry. It's because I only see the notification and I cannot. Okay. So do you have any question regarding challenge pitches or challenges in general, or any experience you want me to explain you about in this sense? Because I think it's the most type of pitches I've done so far. So if anyone has any questions regarding this, if not, I go ahead and show the last type of pitch that I decided.
Hello.
Okay. Wow.
Okay, sorry. Adrià, I can understand well the investor pitch. We focus more on funding and we inform about our idea, and in order to convince and to have funds. But in challenge pitch, I had to see to whom you do it, what you do concrete speaking, and what are the expected results. Is it only to raise awareness, or is also to attract customers, to have funds? And I don't see well the end result of the challenge pitch and concretely how it works. Thank you.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think that that depends on the challenge description or challenge results or rewards. Because, for example, there are some challenges that the main prize for the winner or the competition is based on recognition, because normally these challenges are organized by institutions that have a social mass that can promote your idea, that can make your idea more known in their network. There are challenges that there are economic prices that can be oriented to that. So depending on which is the main goal or the main price of the challenge, that result expected at that different presentation is different. That's why I put the last point, adapt your idea and its description to the challenge format. For example, we participated for, as I mentioned, for the EIT Euro Mobility Kickstarter challenge. And in this challenge, we were told to describe how can Miivo solve any of the problems or the mobility problems of Europe right now. On the other hand, in the Smart Mobility Challenge, Ford and University of Valencia were asking us how Miivo could influence and implement new mobility trends and new mobility options in Valencia, and how can that could be related to Ford, because Ford was funding this specific challenge, so we had to adapt and to think our pitch in that sense. So it highly depends on which is your goal and which is the price of the challenge, depending on what do they offer and what do they look for, and also in what type of institution or who is promoting the challenge, because they normally want something in exchange. Let's put it into this. It's not something direct, but they want a result. In case of public authorities or universities, is to promote entrepreneurship, to promote sustainable mobility. In case of firms that promote and that fund these prices, they look for the recognition, the relation to this startup world, the relation to sustainable world, for example, in the case of Ford. So you have to understand which parts they are offering and what they are expecting in return for what they are offering. So it depends, and that's why I put the last point, to adapt your idea as much as you can to each challenge you participate in.
Another question. Imagine I want to participate in a challenge, but I'm not invited. How can I invite people to invite me? How can I approach people or know the network to be challenged?
No, that's easier. I mean, they are depending on the idea or on the market industry that you are working. What I did and what I've been growing is especially in LinkedIn, connecting with a lot of people from a lot of organizations, because there is a lot of organizations. For example, I can speak for the mobility part because it's my market and my industry. I've been following startup incubators. I've been following mobility firms, mobility associations, European associations too, that can generate this type of challenges, universities, public authorities in your country or in your zone, depending on how it's built. So these challenges is not that someone invites you, it's that you apply. There's an application form normally that you present your idea and you can be accepted or not, and then it can be through phases, it can be a one phase challenge. It depends on the situation, but you have to look, and normally you present your idea, you put some contact details, you put maybe your pitch, you record yourself, you put a pitch video, and they see it, so they select you. But you don't have to be challenged. You can look for many challenges right now going on in many countries at a European level, at a national level. But in case, are you currently thinking of any particular idea startup, or are you currently building your startup? Just if in case I can help you and if I know something about that sector.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other question? Or should I finish? Okay. So the last type of pitch that I presented is the elevator pitch, which is not a different type itself, considering the topic or the thematic of the pitch, but it's a different type considering the time that you have to explain your idea. You have to be time efficient because it's the most important part of this type of pitch. You have to, in short time, describe the most important parts of your idea in a really attractive way, because you will have to catch the attention in really few seconds. You have to look for keywords and data that can be really interesting, as it was the example of the video we saw before. Justify how much you can generate, how much you can approach, how many problems you're going to solve, how your problem is not solved and you will solve it. key points and key data that will help you back until will help you, because the main objective of a pitch, elevator pitch, is to present the idea in a way that the person you are presenting it to has a further interest in knowing more and allows you to have a further meeting in which you explain detailed all the aspects, all the points of your idea. So the idea is to catch the attention, so you are asked or you can propose this further meeting in which you can explain much more detail your startup, your idea, and all the points you want to say. This is something I mentioned of a bad point in the sense of the video we saw. Don't try to speak fast to say more, be extremely concise. Don't try to speak really quick to say all the things you want to say, but try to synthesize and try to shorten your text and what you want to say to be able to have different paces during your message, to have different emphasis points during your message. So what you transmit when you are speaking is a calmly way of explaining your idea that detaches the control, the self confidence in yourself, in the idea, that is key to generate that attraction and that curiosity to the person you are presenting your elevator pitch to. And this is like something like social media. I've been investigating a lot about social media, and I've seen studies in which the attention spam or the attention first impression spam is based on the first 10 seconds of a video, of a picture, of a conversation. So you have that 10 seconds to convince and to catch the attention in that 10 seconds to allow you to have the following 50, because an elevator pitch should last 1 minute more or less. So you have to catch the attention in that 10 seconds. So the other 50 you are able to have the other 50, and then you are able to have a further meeting. But the first objective is that first seconds you catch the attention of the person you are talking to, and he or she allows you to present your idea for 1 minute. So I think that that's the most important points of any elevator pitch that you wanted to present or to say. Any questions regarding any of the 3 types? Because I finished with this point.
Well, we have questions in the chat, but they are not necessarily related to the pitch. One is, how did you fund your market research and how long time did it take?
For my market research or for market analysis in general, I think that it's not something that you never finish doing. I think you are constantly market researching. You should constantly market researching, because market is constantly changing, constantly developing, constantly improving, and you can be outcompeted if you think that you did a market research once and you forget about it. And I think it's something that you have to do regularly. Of course, at the beginning is in a much more extensive way and in a much more detailed way, because you have to fall into the market. Once you are in the market, it's easier to catch up and to be aware of all the updates that happen in the market. And I would say that I recommend to look for information, for free information in the internet as much as possible, to try to understand your consumer by talking to him through all possible means, face-to-face, questionnaires, social media, whatever means you have to contact with your market target audience. So it's important to do so. And if you have the resources, try to at least look for some paid market researches on your market, because that might have some useful insights that you wouldn't get if you wouldn't pay. But I think that without paying, that it has been my case so far, you can have huge information and huge valuable insights about your market and define a market research with that information.
Okay, thank you. And then another one, among your communication and promotion means, which one did provide more customers?
I believe that Instagram, in my particular case, was the one that provided more direct downloads to our application yesterday, because we were able to generate a community and generate a common sense in Instagram, in LinkedIn too, but more in Instagram, because I think that our target audience and our closest circles are in there. young people from university, high school, university, and so on. So I think that in that case, social media, specifically Instagram, was the key communication resource of consumers. But it depends highly on which is your target audience and where your target audience is, so you can define your communication or your marketing strategy and your marketing channel according to that. Because Instagram might have worked for me because my target audience at the beginning is young people using smartphones and using technologies and applications. But if your target audience is 50, 40, 50, 60 or years old people, newspaper might be more convenient because they might consider both physical or online newspapers, but they might consume more that kind of content than social media content. So that depends. But in my case, it has been social media in Instagram.
Let's see, Adrià, if the Twitter engagement of Eurada is driving up your numbers as well, now that we are tweeting about the course. I'm curious to see this myself. Yep, are there any other questions that you saw? No, right?
No, I do have the results of the poll.
Sure, show them and then we continue. Okay, could you pitch about yourself in front of 50 people? There is 63% of people that say yes, and 38% of people that say no. This is a question that is related to the following part of my presentation, which I wanted to start. For those who say no, if anyone who said no could give me a reason or explain why do they think that they don't feel like pitching about themselves in front of 50 people, just to get that information on that firsthand.
Well, I said no, because at this stage, I would not be comfortable with certain parts. I mean, just like this, I'm not an entrepreneur, obviously. So even if I would have a good idea, I would have difficulties of coming up with where I'm going to get my funding and my market share and voila. So à l'improviste, it's a little bit difficult to do, but maybe with a bit more training and more time, I would be able to, I think. I don't know.
And Tessa, what about if you had to pitch about like describing yourself, like who is Tessa? Would you be able to do that in front of 50 people?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's a thing, because the next activity I plan to do is that if someone after this presentation could briefly pitch himself or anything he would like to pitch, a project, something, even his project or her project, if they are currently developing one, in 1 minute, to see how it works, and we can provide useful feedback. That I think that is the most useful thing we can provide from this course, and try to know more projects and to raise the awareness of any project that might be hidden in our attendees today. So if anyone is brave enough, if not, we will go ahead and continue. I understand. Is there any volunteer to do so today?
Maybe we have some potential entrepreneurs of already starting entrepreneur. Voilà, Janvier. As usual, she's very active. We applaud this. So go ahead, the floor is yours.
So thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I'm Janvier Yaramba. I'm a trainer, I'm a coach and a consultant. I am educated in financial area, but I'm more motivated by and passionate by human being. And that is why I decided to embrace this new career. So my goal is to help people to grow in their life, and considering every people as the unique and inclusion way. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to you, Yamia, just because of the huge effort to present it and to do it. If you agree, I'm going to analyze a little bit your speech, your short speech, and I can tell you something. I really like the part in which, because I think that you showed your purpose on why you are doing what you are doing, which I think it's really important. I think that you provide your background, that you were specialized in the financial part, but that now you are looking for more human approach of your career, and you want to dedicate to that. Of course, it's a really short description, so you couldn't say more. if I could give any piece of advice, I would recommend to try to be a little bit more, how would I say, really more active at the beginning, so you catch the attention when you present. Hi, I'm Adrià, and people is like, okay, just by the tone of voice, I raise my ears and I say, okay, who is this guy that is kind of shouting to me? Okay, so if you can have that kind of first impression attention that you can catch, that as I was mentioning, is important. It will be really nice, because for the main goal that you shared with us today, I think that the rest is really, really good, and that you most of it, I understood the points that I was explaining before. So I think that if you combine that with that a little bit exciting start, it could be really nice, and you could extrapolate to any other project or any other thing that you would like to share with other people.
Should one of us pitch as well, Adrià?
If you feel brave enough, Yip.
Yeah.
All right. Well, my name is Yip. I'm from the Netherlands, and I am interested in bringing people together. So that's why I joined Eurada, to bring Europeans together in projects that benefit them into their professional and private lives. So yeah, what else can I share?
If you want, you can promote the next week event that you will be participating, and you will be.
Very good point. Okay, as we all discussed today as well, the most startups are, focused at a new way of entrepreneurship and bringing innovation, because we actually really need it in this planet. The current economy is not able to proceed the way that it is right now because of environmental change. So how can we go about this, and how can we change this? Well, next week, I hope to see you all there. Next week, you will hear from experts in the field how you can upskill both your personal CV, but also your or future company's skills to be better prepared for the transition into a more circular economical system, where we care more about the environment and focus more on reuse, on repair, etc., etc. So please, all, if you're not registered already, you can do so now. It's completely free of charge. And what's even great as well is that we're using this revolutionary platform on blockchain, where you will have your degree. So you're paving the way for the future generations by signing up.
Really, really, really good, Jip. I really like it. I think that it was perfect, because you defined the purpose. You seem so motivated and so passionate about what you are doing, which I personally like a lot when I hear people speaking. And something that I really want to point out, that was something that I liked from Jip's presentation about the next week webinar or sessions, is that he made the call to action that is so important when you are presenting. Come on, guys, sign up. It's really important. It kind of brings you to act and brings you to do to bring the audience to do what you want them to do in a really suited way that you want to introduce with a purpose, with a motivation to do so. So I think that kind of elements are really nice in a pitch or in a presentation of something, and that is a clear example that can be used. For example, if anyone didn't register yet, to register today, because Jip presented that in a way which was really appealing for everybody to do so. So I think that this is a clear example of how to introduce a call to action in a presentation of any project or any initiative you might have. Congratulations, Jip, and thank you very much for presenting.
Want me to pitch as well, Adrià, to stimulate a bit the debate?
Yeah, go ahead. Just I love it. If anyone can present, it's
okay.
Perfect.
So I'm Tessa. I've been working for 15 years in Eurada on economic development, which is a bit crazy maybe with my background, because I hold a degree in English literature, which is quite uncommon, I think. And secretly in me, I think there is a hidden librarian and a hidden 50s housewife, because I also like baking. And so my ideal thing, if I ever leave Eurada, I don't think I will, but if I would have to start a business, I think I would have a business where I am both providing books to people and I am selling my own baked products. And I think I would be very passionate about it. I don't know how I would do the data behind it or the funding, but I know I can call upon you, Adrià, at the time, if I ever need you for that.
Very well. That's a really nice description of your future or your idea, a startup about library and bakery combination. I really like that concept, and I think it could be useful in reality. I mean, I think it's something that I would consume at least. I think that it's really nice the way you present it. The only thing I would say, even it's something that I've been talking about it. When you are trying to say something that not that positive in your speech, try to make it. I'm always told to do it like a sandwich. You say something positive, you introduce the negative part that okay, I don't have the knowledge, but you can say, for example, I have a lot of passion to do, and I have a lot of knowledge of bakery libraries, and I really know how that works. I will only need someone to help me drive the economic part so we can build a startup together and share this passion together. But I'm sure that I will find my partner and we will be able to drive this into a successful library bakery shop.
Thank you, Adrià. So if we have this business idea in Brussels, you're all welcome to have cake.
It would be nice. I would like to taste it. So if you feel like, I'm going to share back again the presentation, and I'm going to stop to finish with some tips and the final conclusion, okay? Sure. Okay, this was the slide I prepared for people to present. Thank you, Tessa, Jeep, and for participation. And I will explain this for the next parts, the last parts, the tips I want to share, and the last conclusion. Okay. Which are the six tips I wanted to share with you today. The first, in a pitch, to be curious, to be innovative, to be original. I think I did touch that throughout all the presentation, but I wanted to recap it again in the conclusion. The more curious you are, the more excited you are to look for new ways of doing things. In general, in the startup world, is a considerably high competitive advantage, but especially in ways of communicating, I think that there is a world of possibilities because it takes into account emotions and feelings, and that's not an exact science. So you can always improve, and you can always look for new ways of inventing something that gets people together and attracts people's attraction. Second, I've repeated this several times, and if I was to make a test, this would be a question for sure. Know your audience the best you can. Try to investigate about it the best you can. Have a clear goal in mind considering this audience once you know it. Pitch as if the people that your audience had no idea of what your idea is, of what your startup is, because some of the most common mistakes that entrepreneurs make at the beginning is they investigate so much, they are so focused on the idea that believe or think that people know all the background they have in the idea. So you explain something with your background, with your thoughts, with all the investigation you have made. Don't make that mistake and explain your idea to someone that you say, okay, I have nothing to see, or I don't know anything about mobility. Explain me Miivo. How can you explain to someone that knows nothing but about mobility, but using transportation, what is Miivo and why Miivo is going to benefit him or her? So that's really important. Don't let anything as understood or as supposed. Make clear every point. Try to explain it very clear and for very broad people, adapting it to each kind of target audience, depending on the types of pitches that I presented before. But pitch as if they didn't know your idea, because that way you will be able to explain and to show all the important parts of your idea in a better way. And last, the last point that I wanted to make is what we just make. Ask for feedback, ask for opinions, ask for suggestions, for critics, because that feedback and that information will be the key guides that you will be following to improve your pitch, to improve your startup, to improve your business plan. Feedback, always in a constructive way. If someone tells you this pitch is a shit, or I don't like you, that's not feedback, that's directly criticizing without any sense. But if someone gives you a bad opinion about your startup, but it's justified and it's argumented, don't take it as a personal criticism, don't take it as a personal attack. Get it as a really useful information and a useful power to use, because this person has taken the courage to tell you the truth when he or she could have lied and tell you that the idea is amazing, even though he didn't think that. The time to think and to invest in how to make you improve that idea, because they will help you with this criticism to improve your startup. And the honesty to say, okay, I've analyzed this aspect and I think that this could be better. So you can understand what your target audience is thinking and what your target audience will be expecting from your solution or your product. So it's really important that you ask for feedback anytime that you present, that you pitch, so you can improve and you can develop your pitch from that feedback on. So what a pitch should be: clear and concise as a business plan, be original and different, describe the main parts of your idea, as we have recalled throughout the presentation, show passion and motivation, as I've been trying to show during these two sessions yesterday and today, have different emotional moments. I wanted to mention this at the conclusion. I think that it is important. It's impossible to keep excitement during a whole pitch, or it's impossible to keep emotional connection or a sad connection when you see something that feels you pain or that makes you feel sad. It's impossible to keep that momentum for the whole pitch. So try to combine them, try to connect them, try to make them coherent. You are treating emotional moments in a coherent way. So if you are making people remember something that made them sad, then use that point to make them happy with some solution that you provide. This type of emotional management that will drive to have a real direct connection with the target audience that you are talking to. And finally, demonstrate a structured plan. Even though originality and creativity are basically my main guidelines, it's really important that inside of a structured plan, you can be creative. But if it's a mess, if you put disconnected parts between them in a pitch, that will be really that will damage your image as a speaker, as a startup founder, and as a startup itself, because it doesn't show that you have a plan and that you know how to work properly to build your idea and to make your idea reality. And the last thing, and it's what I mentioned about Jeep's a presentation minutes ago, have a catchy final or have a call to action to people that make them remember or make them act in a way you want them to remember you or argue. If you have a catchy slogan, if you have a catchy animation, if you have a catchy whatever, try to use it at the final, because it will be the last thing you will tell them, and it will be the last thing and the most recent thing they know about you. So if you give them something catchy, something interesting, something they remember about, it will be really useful for them to remember the overall and the general ideas that you have presented before from that catchy final on. What a pitch shouldn't. It's really important that your voice tone is not monotonous, because otherwise you won't be able to transmit the passion and the motivation I've been repeating all this presentation long. As yesterday I mentioned too, don't fake any data, don't make up any information, even if the information is tough, even if information is hard on your idea. Justify why did you put it, why do you think that data can back up your aspirations or your growth. Never try to do something, because faking data will never help you. And in the best of cases, you will get money or you will get funds to build an idea whose market is not prepared for or whose market gap is already filled. So try and investigate with real data and justify your analysis with real data. You shouldn't explain ideas without any connection. As I said, unstructured pitches would make audience get lost through all the process, and the last thing you want is that they get lost when you are talking. Silences are good, but in the proper measure and in the proper duration. If you leave too much silences, and especially too long silences, you will give the impression that you have to think twice about what you're going to say, so you don't have that inner instinct to comment your idea that brings the passion and the motivation that we are looking for all the time. You should try to look as less nervous as possible, because it's something that people detach or perceive as a negative point, because it's not so completely normal to be nervous, and it's really something that is complicated to fight against. But you have to show the confidence on your idea, because if you show that you are nervous, what they will perceive, apart that that you are nervous is that you are not confident, rather on yourself or rather on the idea. And confidence is one of the most important points you want to build with the person you are pitching to or with the people you are pitching to. And last, of course, don't forget any key information about your business, because we don't have to forget that startups look for businesses and information and data. With the analysis that I've been repeating all presentation long, it's important to be shown and it's important to be mentioned in a proper structured time. So thank you very much. This is all from my part.
Adrià, I think we have another surprise for you. We have launched an extra Slido question asking the people what they have learned these past days. So okay, maybe Yip can show the answer.
I'll share my screen. Quite a huge number of inputs here.
Sandwich method. I like it. Okay. I really like what people understood and learned from these two sessions. Well, just so you know it, I was a little bit nervous if I would be able to explain my experience would be useful for people to understand entrepreneurship and pitching and business plan, that are two of the main elements of entrepreneurs and startups. I'm really happy to see that people got so many points that I kept on mentioning these days. Highlight your uniqueness, important to keep gathering data, the steps of making a business plan. Don't be afraid to show your passion. I think that that's one of the most important things. So I really like, and I'm really happy to see that people understood and that profited from my experience and from what I've been telling all these hours long. And I'm really happy, and I will be really happy. I can leave you my contacts. I will leave you my contacts in the chat now, in case you want to contact me through LinkedIn, or if you want to know more about Miivo in general. I will leave it in the chat. So in case you want to contact, any doubt, any problem, any suggestion, any collaboration you might have in mind, I'm more than open and more than pleased to answer you and to connect you with you in every way we can. So thank you very much for you all. It really means a lot for me to see this, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Adrià. I see that people are commenting still in the chat. It was really interesting and informative. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience. In this course, I learned the steps of making a business plan, starting from the idea to its implementation, tips for presenting your business idea, team composition, market research, and many other useful informations. It was very interesting. Thank you. So Adrià, I can only comment the same thing. Thank you very much for your time, dedication, and sharing this with us. So for other comments, thank you. Thank you. I think we only have thank you to say, Adrià, at this stage.
Well, if there's any last minute question or anything you want to know, I'm open as always. I'm leaving here my LinkedIn profile in case you want to connect with me, and I will leave you to the webpage of Miivo, so you can know more about the startup I'm building. And in any case you want to know more about rather startups in general or Miivo in concrete, I will be more than happy to be able to talk with you, even to arrange a meeting, or if you ever come to Brussels this time, see you there, because I'm really happy about my participation, and obviously your participation, Jean-Pierre, Nora, Maria Cristina, Marta, Jeep, Tessa, of course. I'm really happy that you gave me this opportunity, and I've enjoyed it a lot. I hope you enjoyed it at least the half I did, and I'm really thankful for that.